Good evening. Thank you to the board for inviting me to speak tonight on behalf of an incredible coach. By way of introduction, my name is Emily Biershin. You were close. I know. Don't you do this for a living? So my name is Emily Biershin. I'm
First female member.
Yeah, I took out my ladies and gentlemen because there's 3 ladies in the room, so I just made it all encompassing. Yeah. So my name's Emily Biershin, and I'm currently a medical student. But years ago, I had the enormous privilege of playing for Mr. Jim Brooks on the Chaminade Julienne Eagles tennis team. When we think back on coaches who impacted our lives, we can all think of a great coach. But the reason we're here tonight is because Mr. Brooks is on a level of his own. Mr. Brooks, or as his players fondly call him, Geronimo, Chief Brooksy, Moondog, those were the gentlemen's teams I played, has mastered the art of winning, and most importantly, he always does it with the highest level of class and integrity. Since he began coaching CJ in 1998, he has recorded 478 wins. In a state loaded with talent among both players and coaches, Mr. Brooks has coached 5 different teams to the state Final Four. On top of this, he has coached 2 boys and 12 girls to the individual state tournament, which is a marvelous feat in Ohio tennis. It is imperative to mention that his wins are never boring. He has a statewide reputation as a heartbreaker for pulling out dramatic wins in historic fashion. There is no doubt that Mr. Brooks is so wildly successful as a coach because of his one-of-a-kind personality. He inspires his players to give their best, not only for themselves, but for their team and for the community and school they represent. Mr. Brooks also has an extraordinary ability to bring people together. He created the practice of state send-offs for all sports, where all students and faculty lined the hallways, and the band led the state qualifying team through the school as students and faculty cheered them on. He lined up buses to transport CJ students to our matches to support the team. Tennis, of course, doesn't have as many fans as basketball and football, so this is a big deal for us. Our practices consistently had celebrity guests, which included many alumni players and older players from the area to practice with and seek guidance from. He thrived on connecting the past and the present, not only in an effort to improve our practices, but more importantly, to involve the tennis community in our program. If you walk the halls at CJ and ask any passing student to point you in the direction of the person in charge, they very well may point you towards Mr. Brooks's English classroom on the first floor. Through his incredible influence and eternal devotion to the school and sport, he transformed a previously insignificant tennis program at best into a perennial state powerhouse. This change initiated a major shift of tennis power from the large suburban school districts to the small but proud Catholic school in downtown Dayton. It was under his watch that CJ constructed its beautiful urban tennis facility. He has done a tremendous amount for the CJ community, and we really appreciate him. Anyone who's ever played for Mr. Brooks knows that his distinguishing phrase is, "It's a great day for tennis." And he wouldn't just say this when it was a great day for tennis. He would say it when it was 75 and sunny or 45 and overcast, kind of all conditions. And on the way to the 2005 state tournament, which was his first as a team, the van Mr. Brooks was driving blew a tire. And we players were all waiting at the club as he walked through the doors. And as his figure emerged from the dark abyss of the storm, drenched in rain, completely drenched, with his tennis gear under his arms, but he had a typical big smile as he exclaimed, "It's still a great day for tennis." I think much of the impact he has made on his students is due to this perpetual enthusiasm. He has always had complete faith that we would pull out a win, so much so that we believed it even when the odds were stacked heavily against us, and they sure were, because we played a lot of really good teams from up north. Former CJ football coach Jim Place, a good friend of Mr. Brooks, in a speech about him termed him a man's man, and I couldn't have said it any better myself. He's a guy you want to spend time around. With no doubt, it has been his incredible life experiences and profound faith in God, including time in his younger years training to be a priest before he met his wife. That's the reason he approaches tennis, students, and life always with patience, always with kindness, no matter the circumstance. His confidence allows students to uniquely express themselves while still representing the school and always in style. This is one of his many gifts that has extended far beyond the tennis court, as thousands and thousands of students would surely cite him as one of their greatest life influences. In addition, his love and devotion to his wife Peg and their lovely daughters is a goal for anyone pursuing the secret to lifelong happiness. I'll close tonight with a newspaper quote from the very beginning. Before the state appearances, before his accomplishments among the state tennis community were renowned. On September 4th, 2004, CJ upset Centerville and became the first area team to defeat them in 15 years. The Dayton Daily News wrote an article that weekend and referred to the win as a shocking dethroning of the area's #1 team. And they quoted, "So if Mr. Brooks and his girls are still celebrating, it's no wonder. Mr. Brooks, you seized that moment and you never looked back. Your girls have celebrated with you every single day since then by living life to the fullest. It is our distinct honor to celebrate with you tonight among the best sportsmen and women in the area. So, ladies, the few of us that there are, and gentlemen, it is my great honor to introduce the one and only Mr. Jim Brooks."
And I would say that in this great group of
Very nice.
Men who run this organization, I want to say thank you, and especially to the Musachuk brothers, Ron and Bob, because they were certainly instrumental in getting my name into the mix. There are many people who've been coaching a lot longer than I have, and more deserving of this honor, but in the spirit of goodwill, I will certainly accept it on sort of their behalf. And to be mentioned in the same breath with Mike Kelly and Don Donoher is just unbelievable. It's really cool, as we used to say. I first played tennis at the end of my freshman year because I knew a guy named Bob Helmers. If you know anything about local tennis, you've heard that name. He was a dominant force. But he got me interested in the game when I was searching for a high school sport to play. And I barely made second doubles on the varsity team as a sophomore. And I have played a lot of tennis since. I mean, during those years, we developed a pretty good team over there at Alter. We didn't even have our own home courts. We practiced on the Whalen's backyard court. 6 of us. You know, Bob would usually be practicing with UD players, and we did our best to play on our own. So a lot of fond memories of high school tennis, and then I became a high school teacher and eventually a high school coach as well. There was a vacancy back in 1998, and I thought, okay, it's time, I'm going to try this. And I remember so well my very first tennis practice. We didn't have our own courts, so I had 22 kids driving out to Tom Cloud Park, about a 15-minute drive from school, the first Monday of March. You know what that's like around here. We're talking 40 degrees, we're talking windy, we're talking overcast, we're talking miserable. But I thought, once we're out there, we'll be just fine. There are 12 courts at Tom Cloud Park. We get there, and sure enough, 10 of them are locked up. So I have to put 22 kids on 2 courts. If you've ever tried to manage something like that, you know it was a nightmare. Somehow I got them all hitting tennis balls. I won't say where they were hitting them, but one memorable moment, my most out of control kid smacked the ball as hard as he possibly could without any intention of getting it in the court. It happened to land on another kid's front tooth and chipped it. That night, I get a call from the mother saying, "I'm sorry, this sport of tennis is a little bit too rough. I'm afraid I'm going to have to withdraw my son from the program." I owe a vote of thanks to the people sitting here at this table, whom we affectionately call each other the Incredibles. Now, this was long before the movie came out, the cartoon movie. And we played basketball together, we played softball together, we played bocce, we played, about a dozen different sports of various kinds and various ways. all with a lot of fun and a drink in one hand, if not during, then certainly afterwards. These guys are the joy of my life and a great support, and I've known some of them since the first grade, which is incredible. We support each other and really enjoy each other's company. They mean so much to me. Also, I've got a couple other besides Emily. I've got Joe and Conrad here from the boys team, class of 2007. And there are a lot of great stories connected with those three players. The first one happened with Emily. She mentioned already about the dethroning of Centerville. They had not lost to a local team in 15 years. And we just happened to have just enough talent that year when she was a freshman that we could challenge them in just the right positions. And we ended up beating them. It was really a wonderful, beautiful day for us. The following year, we got some more talent on that team, and we were then kind of lurking in the shadows against Princeton. Was ranked number 2 in the state all season long. We went down there, we got a couple bus loads of kids. I kept running into their coach in Cincinnati in different places. It was really weird. I just kept telling them about all these signs. It is meant to be. We're gonna play this team and we're gonna beat this team. So we had a great pep talk going down there on the bus. And I knew there were a couple matches that were gonna be nearly impossible for us to win. So we lost at first doubles, we lost at first singles in a really close match. We had to have the other 3. So we won it second singles. Emily was next. She was down 6-2, 4-1 in that second set against a player who was undefeated that season. I said, Emily, it is time for you to step up, girl. And she did exactly that. She fought back, won that set 7-5, won the last set, I think 6-1. And then it came down to second doubles, and as it was getting dark, the mother of one of the opposing players came up to the court and said, Jenny, come on, we have to go to your tennis lesson now. and that was the best thing I could have heard. So, go ahead and keep distracting your daughter. We ended up winning that thing 7-5 in the third set and made it to the state semis for the first of 5 times. It's always been a lot of fun. And we just have great fighters. Joe and Conrad, similar story on the boys' side. Took us a little longer to get up there with the front runners in this area, and by the time they were seniors, we had our hopes way high. These two were playing first and second for me their junior and senior year, and they really wanted to take it to Oakwood. That was the best team in the area year in and year out, along with Alter and Miami Valley. That particular year it was Oakwood. So in the rankings we were always 4th, then moving up to 3rd, then moving up to 2nd. And it was the last match of the season. We went out there against Oakwood. Those two took care of business at first and second singles. It came down to third singles, and a player who was only in the game for 2 years. Just a great athlete, but not much of a tennis player, but he just drove people crazy. And he pulled out that match, and at least for that year, and then 4 years later, we got to be number 1 in the air. It was a lot of fun. Those guys too, I've never coached anybody who loves the game of tennis more than these two. When the ATP was going down in Cincinnati, they would be there every second for a whole week, get all the autographs of all the great players, breathe the same air they breathe, and I tell you, they hounded those guys and always had a fantastic time. So, there's a lot to be thankful for after 20 years of coaching and 38 seasons of coaching. I am giving up high school English teaching as of this week, but I do plan to keep coaching for a while, see how it goes. All I can say is that it's been a joy and a privilege, and I want to thank this group for having me and all of us here tonight.